Hello and welcome to My View from the Piano Bench. We do this on Wednesday evenings here on my Joe Holt's Notes YouTube channel. Thank you to those of you who support and encourage me via the link you'll find on the support page of my website. Essentially, different ways to create a drop in the tip jar, and you'll see a link to that in the video description. That, in essence, sponsors these videos. So each week in this series, I have a topic, and I just talk extemporaneously about it. I don't, at this point in the process of doing these, plan what I'm going to say. I allow for discovery for myself during these times. You know, it's good to hear words be put to thoughts you've been having. And it's beneficial to me, and actually is a better way for me to communicate to you than trying to write something down and think it through that way. So among the ways I'll approach a topic is to have a song title that is a launching point for me to possibly talk about the song, or to talk about something connected to the song or an experience or whatever. I just let it take me there. So I thought this morning, The 12 Days of Christmas is an appropriate title. And I stopped myself. I said, no, The 12 Keys of Christmas. So The 12 Days of Christmas is a Christmas song. And that as a topic just tells you it's going to be about this Christmas song. But I think it's a little more interesting to have the 12 keys of Christmas. And that's a part, at least, of where I'm going to go with this anyway. And of course, we know the tune. And it just keeps getting longer and longer and longer on this thing. Okay, and you just have, for every day you add until you get to 5 or something. However you sing it. 5. And then you change the melody. Okay. And then you just keep adding days beyond the 5. So, 6. It goes on like that, and it's arduous, it's monotonous, it's annoying, and I did get the idea shtick-wise a long time ago that you have 12 keys that you can play in. So just play each verse in a different key, and that becomes a bit of a shtick right there. It just keeps moving, and oh, look at that. Oh, well, yeah, it makes it interesting, or just novel. But the interesting part actually is relevant. So when you are playing something that repeats, that you're playing the same thing again, you want to do it differently in some way to have it be interesting. And oftentimes a very basic approach with that would be volume. Second time. And why in the world I picked that, I have no idea. But right now I'm trying to think of something repetitive like that, and I'm not. So it really doesn't matter. The idea is every time you do it, whatever it is, whether it's a short phrase or a long phrase, or it's like a big long section that repeats, you alter something about it. And the easiest way to alter something is to change the volume, right? But another way to alter something, and it's not your typical way of doing things, particularly in classical music interpretation, is to change the key. So, yes, I did not play the entire thing, but see, I made it much more bearable. I didn't make you listen to it for the 6 minutes it would take. But the idea being that you can take the same thing and move it around different keys. And if you watch these videos, you already know this, but in my past history, I had the title of Picnic Pianist in the Cherry Hill Mall in southern New Jersey. In the first large dedicated indoor food court shopping mall built in the country. It was in the 80s in Cherry Hill. My understanding is that soon after that, another shopping mall owned by the same company, the Rouse Company, built a big food court in Oregon, and then it all started. But the one in Cherry Hill, and I hadn't been to Cherry Hill Mall in many, many years, and a few years ago, I went there, and it's all different. I don't think that food court exists now in the way it did. But it was a 1,000-seat food court. And when I think about it now, I mean, I'd always say 1,000-seat food court. It would always be just sort of like matter of fact, 1,000-seat food court. But now that I'm so far distanced from that, and I think about it, the first thing you think of is like, what? 1,000 seats in a food court? I mean, it was my stomping ground. I was used to it. Yeah, but yeah, as I think about it, it was a really, really big food court. You know, and you just you walk through all the tables and or around and through and the tables were not super close together, so you could get through them without knocking people over. So it took up a big area. And when I just said slink through, it brought back an image. You have to be a Philadelphia sports fan and remember back in either the 80s or the 90s, Randall Cunningham, who was a very agile quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I remember him, you wind up seeing everybody, in a high-end shopping mall if you're there for 11 years. So you see Randall Cunningham walking through the food court, slinking very, very gracefully. But I just remember him kind of walking around the chairs past the Haagen-Dazs stand at the time. Of course, things morphed and changed as we went along. The food court was this big area. Now, any mall food court I see now today is like much smaller than what the Cherry Hill was. But you had the perimeter way around of all the stores, and you had a few pop-ups in the middle. And what I would have is a microphone, because one, if I tried to say something, nobody was going to hear me. Two, part of my deal, especially in the beginning, they dropped this later, but in the beginning they put music menus on the tables, and I submitted tunes that I wanted to play, and then people would request something from the music menu and bring it up to me, with a dedication thing, and this is for, this is, and then I play the tune. And somewhere I've saved a couple of those music menus. I don't know where they are. And there was a holiday or a Christmas music menu for that season, because I've told you that as well, that on the day that Santa Claus arrived and the mall went entirely Christmas, because when you go in a store this time of year, or even a month ago, at a certain point in the calendar, all you hear is Christmas music, right? And I had to succumb to that. I had to play all Christmas music, and to me, you've heard me say this, it was a challenge. I liked it, and out of that, came the novel approaches to different tunes. It's like, I'm going to play a tune. What can I do differently about it? And then over the years, not because I'm not playing Christmas songs all the time anymore, and I'm not necessarily even playing a lot of gigs that make me play Christmas songs. So, I can recall what I did, and I don't really experiment anymore because I don't need to. Well, I did play one gig a couple of weeks ago that was a 4-hour gig, and I was a little rusty, in the thing. I think I wound up in the last set repeating a couple of things I did in the first set because nobody was there at that point. It was a background music thing. In fact, if you follow me on Facebook, it was the one where I took a picture of the 9-foot Hamburg Steinway in the very elegant setup. That was that place. But I recall like messing with different tunes and putting different rhythmic feels to tunes. Like taking a Latin feel and putting it on something that wouldn't necessarily be Latin. Like I'll my house stop. And I know there is a more specific place to land and just say Latin, and I don't know what the word is. So calypso or some, I don't know. Not calypso, I don't know. I know what it feels like. And also, you want to go from tune to tune to tune and have something, if not everything, about the tune be different. And this goes back to the 12 Keys of Christmas. It remains interesting because every verse is a new key, which doesn't change anything, but actually it does. It get your attention, and off you go. So, going from tune to tune, you want to have similar, like you don't want to play, well, you can, but typically people don't play in the same key 2 tunes in a row, or a lot of people. Or you don't play the same tempo 2 tunes in a row. You don't play the same style necessarily. Although you could swing 2 tunes in a row, but one's slower and one's faster. But the Christmas tunes were an opportunity for me to kind of have the laboratory of playing with different styles, with different tunes. I remember I haven't done it for a long time, so I might get confused, but I used to do O Come All Ye Faithful in 5/4. But you get the idea. And so that distinguishes that. Some tunes you can do a stride. Right? Or you can keep the tempo the same, but do like walk, have it swinging 4/4. Oh, listen to that! Everything changed, and it's interesting, right? just happened and wasn't my best version. But the idea being, another place to go, right? And so that's how you can, hold interest and just keep play. You don't play the same thing. One time when I, well, I don't know when in my timeline this was, but I know like years ago, I wound up going like once a month to an adult daycare in the town I lived in, and there was somebody else who came through who played piano, and she was all proud of herself and foisted upon me her recording, which I guess was on cassette at the time, that she did, 15 songs in the key of C. Everything was in the key of C. And you really wanted to start banging your head against the window, the windshield, the something in your car, listening to it after about the fifth tune. Because like, you start to feel like a straitjacket is being put on you, or you're being trapped. I can't breathe, or whatever. Air, water, food, space, move. No. Yeah, so you don't want the same thing all the time. But while I'm talking about it, you program tunes, like so you do a swing, you do something stride, you do a Latin, you do a waltz. So then I wouldn't necessarily put that tune next to this, but I could actually, because it's so much slower, but it's also in 3. All right, so when you talk about changing keys, and this just occurs to me, so I have a stack of hymnals down here, and let's go for the Christmas section here, and I know what tune I want. I don't know what the number is anymore. Actually, it's 149. This hymnal, I bet. I think it is. Let's see. I remember "Joy to the World." That would be like a good one if you're playing for a congregation to step up a half step in the last verse, or someplace where you want to heighten interest. So I'll demonstrate that, but then I'll talk about something else here. I don't want to use that. I want to use this. Okay, so the way this is written. Okay, I can demonstrate it. Let me get another hymnal from another denomination that was printed probably a few decades after this one was. Let me turn to "Joy to the World." If it's not going to be in this hymnal, it'll be in another one. I'm taking a chance. I did not research this first. And, oh yeah, I'm looking at, why can't I find "Joy to the World"? Because that's not the alphabetical index. "Joy to the World," let's see, 246. So this was the Trinity hymnal from Great Commission's publications. It's the hymnal I came up with. Nope, lie, same key. Wait a minute. Let me look. This is probably the most recent hymnal I have. The point being that the trend is in recent years to lower the keys, because people aren't part singing so much, and the melodies are really kind of too high for a lot of people. Yes, it's Joy to the World, but it's the wrong tune. I want the other tune. So that's why there were two choices here. Wait a minute, what's a funny hymn title? Silence, frenzied, unclean spirit. Now I'm curious, but I'll try to quell my curiosity and remember later. H-I-J. Joy to the World. So all this may be a waste of time because I didn't prove anything. And I didn't. They're all in the key of D. All right, fine. I wouldn't necessarily play it in the key of D. I might bring it down. But here's a good illustration anyway. Now, if I were just playing this hymn out of my head, I'd probably play it in C. And then, of course, I can move up. I can move up. And I can move up again. In fact, that is what I do sometimes if there are 4 verses. Now I remember. I haven't done it in a long time. But so, key of D. So, let's just stick with this key. Let's say I'm playing the next to last verse, which is typically kind of the contemplative verse, not the big finale verse, or the big victory verse, or whatever. Interesting. So I played that as if it were the last verse. So I got big, right? I modulated up, you know. Wait a minute. Which is a matter of keeping the same melody note but changing the chord underneath of it to propel you. And I got all big, right? And again, talking about contrast, talking about not hearing the same kind of thing. You know, there you go. You raise the excitement. But then instinctively, and you typically wouldn't do this in the last verse of a hymn, but like, I think it would have worked well if I did it. Which is instead of going to the big thing, right, I did what they call a deceptive cadence. I resolved it, but I resolved it to a more, not mysterious place, but an alternative place that's not really resolved. So listen to what I did. Right, so I didn't do a final resolution. And makes the nations prove. And then I went contemplative for the glories of... And actually, even though that could be big, and wonders of his love and wonders of his love, that works there, right? So now I'm getting into the whole strategy of interpreting hymns for congregational singing, right? But where this came from was modulating from one verse to the next in order to have a sense of having lost what you're looking for. Oh, pardon me 1 second. Yeah. Modulating from one verse to another to, you know, keep the interest and all of that. So I could demonstrate, instead of the 12 keys of Christmas, The 4 keys are joys of the world. I haven't actually done this in congregational singing, I guess, for a few years, because I don't do a lot of that now. But yeah, that's right. I was started in C, which is borderline too low, but not necessarily. Modulation right away, but you could. Second verse. Now I'm in D flat, not D. Oh, I'm reading these all wrong. What? Because I got a phrase while looking at the word after I played it. While fields and floods, rocks, hills, and plains. And then to D for the third verse. This is the key that's in the hymnal here. No, but what I was demonstrating there was probably not entirely the best thing for congregational singing, but it would be interesting if you were playing it, solo behind somebody or something. So here's something now, more music specific or music theory specific. Because if you're a classical pianist and you're just reading the notes, the transposition happens in a different way, and it's trickier, it's intellectual, and you think about scale positions and all that. For me, it's an ear thing. You train yourself to find the intervals and the pitches. But if you're relying on reading music, there is an easy trick to move something a half step. It doesn't always work, but it would work here. And that is, read the notes the way they're written, but change the key signature. So this is written, I don't think I need to show it to you, but this is written in the key of D, 2 sharps. You have these notes here. Those are the notes. Now, I can play those exact same letter-named notes, but rather than the key signature of D, I'll put it in the key signature of D flat, which is 5 flats instead of 2 sharps. I can play the same notes that are written, and I get the same result, just a half a step down. Now there are combinations you have to make if they're what we call accidentals in there, and you have to know this accidental reads as that when you do it this way. But that's a little trick that some church organists will use. So let's go back now to 12 Keys of Christmas. my position on this would be to advocate not memorizing the patterns, but training your ear to be able to hear these combinations of pitch relationships from wherever you start. And there's different angles into that and different approaches of that. But one I'll point out right now. So let's take on the first day of Christmas. And let's take it back to on the first day of Christmas. And let me get rid of on the and just first day of Christmas. That sounds interesting, right? It almost sounds like its own theme. I'll stop there. I gotta just meandered off. But now you see how that played itself. You know, I wasn't planning on doing it, but it happened. So that's the, and not that it's fancy or anything, but it happened on its own, and I followed it rather than it following me. That's the zone I try to get in, which actually I haven't been in at all in this video until now. But I'm not really in a performance place when I do these. But in the performance setting, that's what you want to happen. And in the Piano for My Friends videos with the transitions in between tunes, that's what they are. You know, something happens and then it just allows it to play itself. But I got distracted. You're kidding. Yeah. That's a theme though for something. All of a sudden, my little whimsical button got pushed. All right, I'm going over a cliff now. Splat. All right. So I got it down to this. First day of Christmas. So let me get rid of the muss. Or get rid of the mess. Mess be gone. On the first day of Christmas. Oh, this first. There it is. First day of Christmas. What does that sound like? Let me change the rhythm a little bit. Ah! Ooh. So, in very basic ear training, the distance between here and here, which is like the anchor of this whole phrase, that's a big skip there. That's why I isolated it, is an interval that we call a perfect fourth. Why it's called perfect is not relevant, but it distinguishes the kind of fourth it is. There are different interval labels: minor, major, perfect, diminished, augmented, depending on the circumstance. But back when I was coming up, everybody knew Here Comes the Bride. That's never played anymore, you know, but it always used to be. And so that's your perfect fourth, and you train yourself to hear, here comes the bride, here comes the bride, here comes the bride. There goes the bride. Where's the bride now? Groom, over here. Now, I'm just getting silly now, moving keys inappropriately. So, your ear is trained to know where that sound can be found because it's a particular distance away. Perfect fourth. Now you can talk about it in detail and analysis and all that, you can say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half steps. Do, ba, ba, ba. You could say it's 1 to 4 of the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, this is funny. I never put together that Here Comes the Bride is the same interval dimensions of the Addams Family little thing. But actually, I was trying to stick Here Comes the Bride in, but it was going to change key. Let me see. Yeah. Sorry, I may have ruined either one or the other tune for you. Well, since I ruined the tune, let me ruin another tune. And actually, it's connected with Christmas, so I could do this. Yes, we have no bananas. Remember that tune or not? But just the hook here. Yes, we have no bananas. Right? Yes, we have no bananas. Just take that. What if you leave out the bananas? Bananas. I may have just ruined the Hallelujah chorus for you. Sorry. Right? But this is like the fun world of, playing by ear, hearing what you play and not reading the notes and being able to find it because of you practice the sounds. And this is something, by the way, that you do practice. It's not some magical thing. I mean, people have inclinations to do it and can do it easily and learn it easily. Like people can have inclinations to be detail oriented in their minds and learn to be able to read sheet music easily. Me, it's like, what? Trifocals, but not just that, just my brain, So like, if you wanted to be able to play on the 12 Days of Christmas, My True Love Had No Bananas. Oh my goodness. So you got to find just the right time of day to record these videos, and I may have done it today. Who knows? So, step one, well, actually, step everything is to know how to find those sound intervals in different keys. It also has to do with being able to relate to the key you're in. That's another angle of it, but I tend to primarily focus on just the distance between one note and the next. So you start out isolating an interval. If you want to be able to practice this, okay. And I'm back. Now, if you do something like this, because it just kind of happens, since it's a perfect fourth interval, you can move around and only, I was going to say it's like Schoenberg's 12-tone row, but that's not the illustration I wanted to use. But you could move around and just go up that interval and not repeat a note until you get to the note you started on, which in this case was CF, and I rounded up in CF here. And this is part of the mathematical precision of the piano. Of music. It's very mathematically precise, and it's tweaked in such a way. Tweaked is the right word, actually. Tweaked in such a way so that it can be mathematically precise. Comes the bride, comes the bride, comes the bride, comes the bride. And I think I did too many. Wait a minute. Here comes the bride, 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 comes the bride. Oh no, I needed it. Then I needed one more. Yeah. So basically, here comes the bride with a big helium balloon that is depleted by the time we get to the end. Oh, geez, I got to start down here. Here comes the bride at deep bass with a beard. There it is. And whatever else you would find. See, that interval's everywhere. Yeah. Yes, we have no brides and no grooms today. No weddings are off. No, I can't play that. I'm playing. I think we're reaching the point of diminishing return. No, reaching? I think we have passed them. We're talking about moving things around keys. And taking a novel approach to the 12 Days of Christmas is to just play it in 12 keys, and it keeps it interesting, and it's a bit of shtick. But moving things around 12 keys is among the very best of practice disciplines. And it's typically applied just in jazz. So there's your first phrase, Charlie Parker's Donna Lee, which is basically a chord outline improvisation by Charlie Parker over the chord changes to Back Home in Indiana. I don't even touch Donna Lee anymore, but that was embarrassing. But here we go. Let's move a key. Right? And it's typically applied in jazz so that you kind of learn jazz phrasing. You can move it around different keys. But it's like, shouldn't you just like make it a general thing where you're not doing it just to learn jazz phrasing, unless that's what you want to do. If you want to just have, jazz speak. But it's like whatever you do. C or did I start in D? So maybe I went all the way around the 12 keys. And when you can hear something like a word that you want to speak, you don't have to think about it. Like I'm not here thinking about the words I'm going to say to you. That would mess me up. I have the idea of the thought I want to portray, and that leads me to put the words I know to it. So I'm not looking for words. I'm not trying to figure out the words. And when you know your interval sounds and distances as well as that, then you don't have to look for them either. Okay, so when I do the 12 days of Christmas in all 12 keys, my strategy sometimes is to start on the key of E, which is not one of my favorite keys, but it gets it out of the way, right? And then I end on E flat, which is fine. And then the last four verses, C, D flat, D, E flat, are all friendly keys. B is a stupid key. That would be, but that's not like in a vital place, right? So my strategy is to start on E. Then I go to F. And because I gotta remember what day it is. It's Friday. No, wait. It isn't. It's a partridge in a pear tree day. Oh, on the third day of Christmas, my true love gave to me. 20 doves and a bun. Yeah, sloppy has heck. I'm in 4, right? Now in this little realm, my 5th verse is an A flat, where I have to play 5, do, 4, 3, 5. Let me stop there for a minute. That's a lot more melodically adventuresome now for that than it was before, but it's all just scale things. They're not big leaps, so it's not hard to hear as long as you know your scales. That was 5. Now 6, day of Christmas, my true love gave to me. 6, 8, 5. What came in? A, so I'm going to be flat. 7. B, my perhaps least favorite key. Uh-oh. What day? 8, 9, 10, 11, 8. I'm a big fudge job. Oh gosh. On the 9 and 8, whatever the heck they are. 7, 6. Oh geez. The 11th already? Huh. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Let's say it's 11. On the 11th day of Christmas. Yeah. 10, 9, 8, 7, trousers swimming, 6, geese a laying, 5, 9. Actually very friendly key of E flat for my big finale, whatever in the world that is. 9, 8, 7. whatever. All right, well, that's where this subject took me. The 12 Keys of Christmas. So this video is being uploaded the Wednesday before Christmas 2023. So if you're watching it around the time it was uploaded, Merry Christmas. Ho, 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 ho. And yeah, I think I should go eat something or maybe have a drink or something. So thank you for watching, and yeah, I'll see you soon, I hope. Thank you.